continuous improvement is an everyday attitude. It's a way people think and work. It's not some big program that you come in and drop on people and it comes and goes in a week or a month or a year. It's an everyday attitude that has to be adopted in an organization. Well, the reason I'm showing you a picture of a NASCAR pit stop crew is that Johnson & Johnson, the big conglomerate that makes all kinds of things, including Band-Aids, wanted to figure out how to do faster changeovers. They knew that it took too long. They wanted to make more Band-Aids better and faster, but they couldn't quite figure out how to do that. So some creative people in that company got together and said, well, who's good at quick change kind of stuff? Well, who's better than NASCAR pit stop crews? So they actually went to visit the pit stop crews, and Johnson & Johnson has used those continuous improvement techniques to speed up their changeovers on their equipment. There used to be a company called Decca Recording Company. Decca made records, recorded music. And in 1962, they were really quite convinced that guitar music was never going to catch on. It was as popular as it was ever going to be. And so when four long-haired young guys from London walked into their studio one day and asked if they could get a recording contract, Decca Records said, no, we're not going to do that. We don't need any more guitar music. And can you guess who that was that they turned down? They missed a chance to be the recording house for the Beatles. You have to really believe that you can make an improvement. Well, why couldn't people do that? Well, they couldn't do it because we get stuck because we're held back by SOBs. You always know no, it's not the kind of SOB you're thinking of. The kind of SOB I'm talking about here is a self-obstructing barrier. Self-obstructing barriers are these notions that we get in our heads. They're like preconceived notions that we kind of stick with. We learn them and we hang on to them, and it's really hard to shake them loose. Our brains are really, really great at creating patterns. That, in fact, is how we learn most of what we learn. We learn a very simple pattern, and then we take that basic pattern as a building block, and we add something to that to build something new. It's the way we learn how to read. How do we start to read? What do we learn first? The ABCs. Then we learn simple words, then sentences. Well, our brains do that constantly, and it's a darn good thing they do that. Otherwise, we'd have to relearn every morning how to get up and get ready to go to work, because that's a pattern that we've learned. Your occupations are patterns that you've learned. So we learn these patterns really, really fast and easy, and that kind of keeps us sometimes from learning new ones. Aren't we all glad that the people in the telecommunications industry believe things really could be better? Aren't you glad that people like Texas Instruments figured out there's an electronic way to do calculations instead of using the slide rule? Thankfully, somebody has believed that if it isn't broken, it really not ought to be made better even, but it can be made better. Continuous improvement is not just in manufacturing and not just in particular industries within manufacturing. You know that healthcare is deeply involved in continuous improvement. In fact, there's an organization called the Institute of Healthcare Improvement that's been around for, I think, about 15 years, and they've been working very quietly but insistently at the edges, and now they're working with practitioners and healthcare providers to help them improve the way they do what they do. Some of the organizations that we all know and respect, like the Mayo Clinic and Kaiser Permanente, these are some healthcare organizations that are deeply committed to continuous improvement. And of course, it's not just healthcare either. I mean, 3M is into it, Digital River is into it, Ameriprise Financial is into it, Sunny Fresh Foods, a big part of Cargill Corporation, which is here in the Twin Cities area. They are all very much dedicated to continuous improvement. To make continuous improvement an everyday attitude, not a program, you've really got to make the three commitments. You've got to believe that it's important to continuously improve. Secondly, you've got to really understand that it is possible to improve. And thirdly, you have to believe that you can make a difference.